Red Nation, are we here?
The best show for Chicago sports.
Oh my God!
Yeah. What's good? Let's get into it. What is good, everybody? It is your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in for another episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Live. I am, of course, joined by my Brody bro, Stefan Adon in the building.
Sir.
Hey, we got a lot on the docket for you today. Gonna get into what should be the Chicago Bulls focus this off season. It's going to be a lot of things the Bulls are going to have to do heading into next season. So we're going to be breaking all of that down and more. And then, of course, we're going to be talking to a special guest. I've been teasing this all week. So make sure that y'all are ready to go on that. Can't wait to get him in here and break down some Bulls basketball with him. He'll be on around 11:30, so stay in tune with us on that. We got so much coming for you. We got so much content coming your way. And we appreciate y'all for showing up for another episode of the show. Let's go. I'm in a focus mode today.
Let's go. We here.
I'm not in a hype it up mode right now. I'm in a focus mode. We working right now. You know what I'm saying? It's a good day. Didn't even have to use an 8K. I say today was a good day. Ooh, What's going on, y'all? It's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us. As always, man.
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button. Yeah, come on, push the button.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, because we do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. We do this every Monday through Friday from 11 to 1, and we appreciate y'all for showing love. Also, if you can't stay for the full show, make sure you're listening live over on the Contender, where you can hear nonstop sports talk while you're on the clock. Check out the Contender app. Appreciate y'all for showing love and tuning in, man. What's going on with you, Steph?
What's up, Brody?
Oh, boy. How you feeling today?
No, I'm good. I'm ready. I'm hyped. You know,
Yeah.
we Heat about to get game 2.
Oh, okay.
You
We
feel
got
me?
a Heat getting game 2 is what's going on.
I
today.
was I was down bad last night as a Cubs fan. Just,
Oh, yeah.
Especially after the video. But it
was a tough video, bro. We're gonna talk about that as well, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was that's a tough moment for Cubs fans. That's a moment to me where I'm a little. It fits the mold. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying it fits the mold. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't surprised when I saw it. I wasn't surprised when I heard the commentary.
the commentary made the video.
The commentary made the video, but I wasn't at
commentary
all
made the video.
shocked by it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Nah, man, we're in here talking a little bit of Bulls today, man. Listen, there's a lot that the Bulls got to do this season, right? Especially with what we're seeing now, because now you're seeing the kind of teams, the caliber of teams that they're going to have to compete against. So, what should be the Bulls' focus this offseason, right? I mean, of course, the main focus is going to be trying to figure out what the heck's going on with Zach LaVine. Is Zach LaVine going to stay? Is he going to leave? I believe he will stay. All of a sudden, all these reports are coming out, right? Which is so clutch sports, dog. Like, out of nowhere, it's like reports have been that Zach LaVine has been unhappy with his role all season. And it's like, when did these reports come out? Like, who's reported this at all at any point in this season? I haven't seen this report once, but of course, now this is what's out there. This is what the what Clutch Sports is known to do. We expected this to come, but I still feel like Zach LaVine is going to be here. But we'll play both sides of the coin, right? If Zach LaVine does re-sign here with the Chicago Bulls, what should be the Bulls' focus this offseason, do you think?
If they re-sign, I've been of the mindset since the season ended that they have to get some type of they got to get some type of bench scoring, and that they have to get. I want to say veteran guys that are in there that have bought into previous systems previous systems to get them championships.
Yeah.
Because I feel like everything else is in place. Like Io, I think he's gonna take another step. Me and you, we had a mindset that P Will next season,
Yeah.
he's the depending on what he does,
I think
he's gonna take a jump. I'm saying 20-6 off the rip, most improved player. I'm just that confident in him. But I mean, other than that, I mean the Bulls absolutely have the tools with a healthy Zach to make a run at it.
It's about what you can add, right? Like, listen, you got that 18th pick in the draft. To me, I feel like that's going to be the most important component coming into this offseason, right? Because you don't have a ton of capital to spend outside of Zach LaVine, right? You don't have a ton of cash flow to throw out there outside of Zach LaVine, right? And so, to me, the most important thing that you can do if you're the Bulls is what's going to be the move with that 18th pick. And we've heard go size. We've heard go get a Christian Wood to come off of the bench, which I don't know why Christian Wood would want to be a bench piece on this team. I feel like if you get Christian Wood, he probably ends up being a starter, so that might not be the move. But we've heard all these different things, right, about what the Bulls could do with that pick. I think you might need to go find your legit shooter with that 18th pick, because the one thing that the Bulls were missing, while yes, they were missing size, I feel like you can go find size. You can go figure out a way, like, listen, we all know how creative cap space works with this mug. You can go figure out a way to get a Mitchell Robinson in here, right? You can go figure out a way to find you a big man, I think. But the finding somebody who is a legitimate shooter, who's going to be a legitimate shooter, and at this point, I'm going to be honest with you, maybe it is going to get a Duncan Robinson, because apparently the Heat have zero value. We might be able to get him for a second.
Hey, Max Strus made him expendable.
I mean, I'll send you a second for him.
What's up?
What's up? I mean, listen, if you're down for a second, I'd do a second. You know what I mean? Like, for me, that's what it comes down to, right? I feel like he would be a good piece to have on this team, because he does have the size. He not a great defender, but at least he's got like the length to get his arms out against somebody. You know what I'm saying?
No, and he tries.
He tries. You know what I mean? I would send a second for a Max Strus, or not Strus. We had him. I would send a second for a Duncan Robinson off of the bench. You know what I'm saying? Just somebody who's a legitimate shooter. Just somebody who can come in and give you legitimate, shooting off of the bench. What's his contract situation? Or didn't they pay him the bag?
Yeah, no, we gave that man 80 M's.
Never mind, I take it back.
Yeah. 80 M's.
I take it back.
I think that's the one Pat Riley regret, because he.
Yeah, I ain't. Never mind.
This is the thing, yo. When Dunk be in the game,
I'll take him if y'all hold on to that contract.
Hey, fam, when Dunk be into the game, like, you know how Pat just be sitting back with Zoe at the game just doing this. I can't really tell if he upset because he missing, or you just like upset because dang, we gave this man this type of money, and like
it's definitely the money. It's definitely the money. You gave that man 80 M's and you can't play him in the playoffs because he's that big of a liability.
Yeah.
And he's been phased out. You know what I do respect about them, though, is that they are okay with hey, he makes 18 mil, but he sucks right now. We ain't putting him out there. But I use Duncan Robinson as an example, but I feel like you have to use that pick to go get a legitimate shooter off of your bench, because right now, unfortunately, while I hope Kobe White can develop into one, I think if Kobe White does develop into one, he will end up getting shipped out for that reason, right? There's just not a lot of room for somebody to come in and be another point guard on this team, as Petty comes in just looking like he is reveling in the fact that Kobe White might not be in Chicago in a year.
I believe in Kobe White.
We can stop that.
No, I told you I believe in him. I said
the season is over. The season is over.
What the season is over got to do with the fact that I believe in Kobe White.
Hey, listen, here's the thing, though, right? If he does, I think it's more so the position that he plays, right? And the fact that you can't trust him to be that consistent shooter. Even if he does get hot, right? If he gets hot, that's great. But can you be that shooter for me night in and night out? If he does start to get a little bit more consistent in that area, you you're talking about somebody that could potentially be a starter in the NBA. That's not going to last on your bench. You're not going to throw the bag at Kobe White. He's probably going to be out here anyway. You probably want to get him a trade package so that the contract, or so you get something back for him, even if it becomes a sign and trade in that situation, so you get something back for him, right? Like the Kobe White becoming a player and finally having an offseason and finally being able to develop into the player that Chicago Bulls fans hope that he would be, probably means he's going to be a starting two guard on somebody's team. He's not going to have that opportunity here. So I would assume he would probably go elsewhere in that sense. And then all of a sudden you're talking about a sign and trade for a player. But you have to find, what do you guys feel is more important for the Bulls to focus on this offseason? Would it be finding more size? Because I mean, you're looking at the teams we're going to be going against. You've got the Bucks, you've got Milwaukee, or I'm sorry, the Bucks and Milwaukee. That's crazy how them two teams came together. You've got the Bucks, you've got Boston, right? Who is not a small team either. Everybody on that team, pretty tall, pretty lengthy. When it comes to wingspan and stuff like that, is it going to get size or is it going to get shooters? But because we saw the small ball lineup not work, but we saw the small ball lineup not work because the Bulls weren't able to knock down shots consistently.
I think it's both.
Well, if you're going to prioritize one, if you're prioritizing one, right? You've got the 18th pick in the draft. You're probably not drafting a player. You're probably trading that pick for somebody to come in
go out and get some size
and be effective. You would use it for size.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy part about it is I feel like it's tough, right? Because you have on one hand you got the Bucks, but then you turn around, you have you got Cleveland on the other side of that. Miami to a certain extent. Then you turn around, so it's kind of tough. AK's got to kind of pick and choose what he wants to do. I'm right with you. I think that they take that 18th pick. You take him out to possibly get him a player, like a guy with some legit size, that can actually play. So and in the poster you can kind of mix and match up with Vooch a little bit if you need to, but if it was me, I'm going for the size. Everything else I can look for in free agency as far as like shooters coming off the bench and whatnot. But I think size would be the priority in that type of situation.
I'll be honest with you. I use a draft pick, and I would actually sign some of the veterans that are going to be free agents this year for size. I mean, if you really look at it, you have JaVale McGee that's going to be a potential free agent, I believe. You got Dwight Howard that's a potential free agent, if that list was correct and my memory serves me right. I'll go get vets within that space to help with size, because one of the things that we got dominated on was points in the paint. So getting rim protectors there, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, those type of names, they do help in that. I'm not saying that they're, I'm not saying this is Dwight Howard of 2008 in Orlando, but I know he's a lot better than what he's been getting credit for. And he's a lot better than the opportunity that he's been given within certain roles. So because of that, I would go get him. That maybe not a max contract player or anything like that. He's really, unfortunately, that's just how the chips fell for him. And I would use that pick for shooters if there's shooters within the draft, or to trade for other shooters. I'm not well versed as to what that first round looks like at 18 for us, but we absolutely need to shore up the paint and help Vooch on rebounding. Vooch really was out there giving us double-doubles, and we're in Chicago was like, trade him. It was like, trade him for who? Because he's the only person giving us, like, trade him for what? Because he's the only person giving us boards right now. So,
when you see we had 38 boards.
That kind of freezes for me. I'm gonna leave real quick.
We had 38 boards. He was 20 of them.
If you look at the first two games against Milwaukee,
17 and 17.
Vooch was balling. Vooch had double doubles. Vooch first game one against Milwaukee. Statistically, he was comparable to Giannis.
Was it game one or game two? I thought it was game two, because one of the games he had like 27 and 17, right?
Yeah, something like that. Hey, whether it was game one or game two, 17, but I mean, hey, one player really, really gave us the production we were looking for outside of DeMar's 40-point, joint. So I'm like, hey, come on now, like, give that man some help, because if we clog that paint a little more, which obviously, if you can look at how the Celtics are playing them, it's kind of hard to do. We may be having a different conversation about the Bulls right now. So
yeah, and it to me, right, it's going to be interesting to see because I feel like I said, I haven't done any draft analysis or anything yet. Y'all know, not a huge college guy, right? But if I'm just looking for rebounding, second round, we have both our picks this year. Second round, I would love to see if Kofi falls that far, and actually he hasn't declared for the draft yet, right? He's still
Who?
so if he Kofi Coburn, he hasn't declared.
Nah, he has.
Oh, he has?
This thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was waiting on I was kind of waiting on. I thought Armando Bacot was gonna come out, but he went back to school. That could have been the one right there, but
no, 100%. But the thing where I would go get a Kofi in the second round just because, hey, I need 7-foot rebounding help. You know what I'm saying? What do I need? Crazy. I need 7-foot rebounding help, right? Like, to me, that 18th pick, if you're going to use that pick, you have to go shooting to me, and you have to find somebody that's going to be a consistent shooter. But the problem is, right, at the 18th pick in the draft, do you want to go get a bench piece? Like, that's still a really, like, let's be real. We made the playoffs this year. That's a really good pick. That's a pick that can be used for a player that can be a next level type of player, right? And teams are going to covet that pick. And so for me, like, do you want to use that for somebody that we're talking about? Hey, that's a bench piece. Like, I get his rookie season, but eventually, right, you want that piece to turn into something. If that piece does turn into something, I guess you hope it turns into something great along with P. Will but like now you've got now you're stockpiling too much talent. Can you keep all of it? Which is never a bad problem to have. By the way, if you got like Muzz used to be like, where's he gonna play?
I mean,
figure it out.
Brad Stevens when he was running the Celtics, he couldn't find a reason to get all that talent to coexist at first. I mean,
yeah.
It's a thought process there.
And here's the thing, even with that, right? Like maybe you do go big man at 18.
right.
And here's the thing. If you go big man at 18, I don't believe there's a ton of great big men coming out of the draft this season. But can I find Bobby Portis? Can I find Daniel Gafford? Can I find Taj Gibson? The reason you can get rid of those guys is because you find one of them in every single draft.
I'm going to give you like a take that honestly kind of just hit me, but it would make sense. I'm hitting up Boston. If not Boston, where's Dennis Schroeder at?
He's in Houston, but
That's
he's going to be a
Boston.
free agent.
I'm hitting up Houston.
He in Houston.
That's Boston.
He got traded.
No, he got traded. I'm going for
word?
Dennis. I'm going for Dennis to pair up for that second unit. Potentially starting role, depending on because Zach may be out for a while. I don't. If Zach's going to have full knee surgery, I mean, I'm expecting
he'll be back in training camp. It's not going to be. It's not another ACL surgery.
I'm hoping for the best. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the scope of it is, but I tell you the truth. I'm going after Dennis. I'm going after Dwight. I'm going after
Dennis a free agent though.
See this is the thing.
Like you can sign Dennis, I'm saying, but you're not going to sign him. The problem is Dennis is going to be coveted now because he got in the game in Boston and they were like, oh, he can play. like he went over there, made 7 M's, and they were like, wait a minute, he can actually still play basketball. We'll give him some money.
Let's be honest.
I mean, he's not on the playoff roster, so
he's not on the playoff roster. He's not going to be a contender anytime soon.
You're not really paying him big money. My thing is, why did he fall out of the rotation in Boston? Because
he don't.
If anything, I would have thought that would have been a perfect fit.
He don't fit in Boston.
I thought right where he was at was a perfect fit, but it was a perfect fit when they let him play point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's the same thing with Russ out there. Like the games where Russ is playing point and not shooting as much, like you're like, oh, he can still play basketball.
He looks good.
The games where Russ is playing off ball, it's like, oh, guess what? Russ isn't a 2 guard. We've known this for a while. So like I feel like there's a give and take with it, right? Like I feel like Dennis Schroeder off the bench would be great, but the question is, our team's going to pay Dennis Schroeder to come in and be their starting point guard. Our team's going to pay Dennis Schroeder to come in and run a team versus playing point off of the bench. Plus, you got to think about it like this is all the equation with Zach LaVine coming back. you're not going to have a ridiculous amount of money. You'll be over the cap by bringing Zach LaVine back. The reason we can bring Zach back is because we've got his bird right. So essentially, you're going to be filling out your team with similar players, not to say similar players talent-wise than what you had this year, but similar players contract-wise to what you had this year. A lot of guys who are like, hey, let's go. I just need you to be this piece. I just need you to be this piece, right? And I think you swap that out maybe for some more size, but a lot of the names we're talking about, are you going to be able to get them in here and get them signed to a contract? You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And also, to the chat, man, what free agents would y'all like to see here? What free agents would you like to see the Bulls bring in?
I think they will. That's the wild part about it, right? Like, you know, my Miami. Honestly, like we would we was lamenting the fact that Tyler Hero needed help. By the way, 6 man, shout out to him.
Tyler, he deserved it.
But
That's a good bounce back here. Tyler,
yeah,
I'm
nah,
gonna
he
be real with
definitely
you. Based on how trash he was year 2, I give Tyler an argument.
And he stepped up and did his thing. But I mean, if you look at it, I mean, you kind of need those, those Caleb Martins off the bench, those Gabe Vincents. I mean, even to a certain extent, like Vic, he hasn't really giving you a lot, but you need somebody to put the ball in. You need somebody opposite a Dennis Schroeder, if you was to pick him up in Kid's case, to go opposite him to put the ball in the basket, so I don't have to play Vooch, Zach, and DeMar all these minutes, and then they can get that little 15-minute rest coupled in there with the the TV time. So I mean, it's like I said, AK definitely gonna mix and match, but there's definitely gonna be some names out there in free agency. Vic definitely being one of them. Schroeder being one of them. I would even look into like Baki saying right now, Dante DiVincenzo. So I mean, he's got his options.
DiVincenzo, I would like, because you know what he brings. Malik Monk is an interesting one. Malik Monk's had a very up and down career. I think that up and down coincides with also, I'm gonna go play with LeBron. You know what I mean? Like,
Lakers are not letting him go. Like, if you look at Malik Monk's, first of all, his value skyrocketed. If you look at his actual stat line, when Russ was having some of the worst times of his career, Malik Monk was balling. In fact, he was like their second goal. He was a second player that they went to outside of LeBron. He ain't going nowhere. The Lakers would be foolish to let him go. I mean, they're very wishful thinking for that, Malik Monk. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's not it though, because I mean, what are we? We're one good push over the cliff away from them having to do a full rebuild. They have no cap space. The Lakers. I mean, they have no cap space essentially.
Oh the Lakers are done.
Kid seems adamant that they're gonna get Russ out of there. I still don't figure. I still can't figure out why Houston will want Russ back and how you moving 47 million.
Taylor is actually potentially on a move. Now that's actually like Taylor Horton Tucker. THT. Hey, listen, THT is a great.
I'd be intrigued by a THT. I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel like he's another player where it was like, hey, go out there and figure out how to make your game work next to LeBron James. And he was like, I don't know how to do that.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just think they stuck. Like,
I think they got no choice but you know what? I think Rob Pelinka is that level of petty. He'll take an L on the season.
Yeah,
I feel like Rob Pelinka look at LeBron and be like,
Jenny Buss.
We absolutely got to this point because you wanted these pieces. You put us at this point. You get us out of it.
That's an actual report.
I agree with it. Hey, listen, I would do it too. This is the thing.
How I know for a fact that they're stuck is because the simple fact that now we out here talking to Phil Jackson about
finding
getting the next head coach.
Yeah.
To make it a feel good story.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm never a fan of that. Like, I'm never a fan of bringing a dude from the former generation.
They're cooked. They're cooked. There's no move that they can make to say we're gonna at least try to get a title while LeBron is here in the next 2 years. There's no move.
I don't mind them having a consultant. I mean, you got to be honest about. There's only so many people who've actually succeeded with big personalities, and Phil Jackson did it not once but twice. So I mean, I have no problem with him because he's a much better head coach than he is a GM. And so for him to consult in that capacity, I have no problem with that. I think
But
he
here's
went
the
in
thing.
that
Here's the
regard.
thing. You're talking about him picking talent, though. And you just said he's a
Hey,
much better
coaching
head
talent.
coach but you still talking about him picking talent, right? Like he was like he didn't they traded for Jason Kidd, right? And then got him out of there within a year because he was that the Matt Barnes you did? Was that
Yeah,
what?
that was the Matt Barnes you
Yeah,
did.
because he ended up knocking down Matt Barnes later.
Hey, that's when we climbing the fence, and we
we climbing fences out here. But then
Mike Brown isn't in the conversation. Mike Brown has been in has coached LeBron, had a good opportunity with him, has gone far with LeBron, actually, and now he's still on a championship team in Golden State. He's still a really good coach with a really good experience. So I'm surprised his name hasn't come up. If he's even looking for that opportunity.
Does he want to go back to that? And you got to remember, Mike Brown was the coach of the Lakers at one point with Kobe. So, like, does he want to go back? Do they want to go back to that situation? That's a whole different situation in itself to me. With Mike Brown, because like
he was giving
he did coach very well with LeBron, but like that was also like the first coach where they were like, is he really coaching? Like Mike Brown might not even want that. You know what I'm saying? We're like, hey, I call up this great play, and they like, man, LeBron did a great job calling up that play. What the?
That's the funny thing about having a star. I mean, hey, listen, they said the same thing with Phil and Mike. You know, after the second in the second three-peat, is Phil Jackson really coaching? Yeah, Phil Jackson is really coaching.
Phil was really coaching though. Like
Phil is really coaching.
You can see the difference is right. Like Mike Brown is just kind of like he's more of a like he got some fire in him, but he's more laid back. The difference with Phil is like Phil was like snatching Mike up by his jersey as he was walking off the court, like he hadn't already established himself with the GOAT and screaming in his face like, "What are you looking at right now?" Like, oh snap! Wait a minute.
Phil is going to end up doing the same thing that
hey, in his shoes. How you snatch somebody up in his shoes, brother?
Phil is going to end up doing a Pat Riley thing with Spo. I can see that happening. Not in the exact same capacity, but I can see him coaching or tutoring, bringing someone under his tutelage for a head coaching position for the Lakers, and it would just kind of be full circle for him. And so I can see that happening. I don't think it's as dire as the media will make it seem, or sometimes we make it seem. In the Lakers position, it is tough, but the real issue I don't think is Russ. I don't even think it's LeBron. I really think it's the simple fact that hey, AD didn't stay healthy. Like we never really got to see a real Lakers team.
Is that somebody?
That's the thing though.
Is that somebody that might be in play for the Bulls? We've heard that rumor flying around left and right.
Who?
Anthony Davis. Is that somebody that might be in play in the situation for the Bulls? We've heard it flying around left and right. I wouldn't want to go get Anthony Davis. I'm not gonna lie to you. 90% off of the fact that he's a Packers fan that was raised in Chicago. Like I just don't trust that. Yeah,
hey, listen, Anthony Davis, a Packers fan. Your favorite rapper, a Packers fan.
Man, it's tough, ain't it? Hey, and that one don't even make sense to me, dog. Like you, well, no. New Orleans was trash for a lot of years.
For a while now.
The Saints was bad for a lot of years. That one actually do make sense.
Yeah.
The Saints have dominated. Saints have been pretty good,
bro. Before
Drew Brees for a while.
But dog, Wayne was well before Drew Brees.
I mean, Wayne.
So that means he was a fan of some Saints teams that was winning a solid one game a year.
The Saints been good since the Carter 2. Up until
solid 3 games out here.
From the Carter 2 down to I think I am alien. I'm not a human being.
Most yeah, that's true. Nah, pass. I'm not a human being. Saints just
so
all the way to Carter.
Wait, so you telling me the Saints survived mixtape Wayne then?
The Saints survived
mixtape Wayne. The Saints made it through mixtape Wayne for sure. Okay. But I mean, when do you pick your team? You know what I'm saying? Like he was picking that team on some in the bling bling days. You know what I mean? Like he was picking that team.
Those were the fireman days.
Nah, it was well before fireman. He was grown on fireman.
If we being honest, the Saints started to kill before Aaron Rodgers even became Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no, but the Packers were already I mean, Brett Favre.
Brett
Was
Favre. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Like what? We
You're
just
right,
forgot
you're
about
right.
the other Hall of Famer that came before them.
Yeah, and Breeze got a ring before. I mean, come on, man. We got to talk about this, baby. We got to
Hold
figure
up,
out why
let's
you're not
see.
repping for New Orleans.
Hey,
Or
I tell you,
Nolans, as y'all call it. I don't know how that slang works.
Nolans. I don't know why. Like that's the one thing I always want to say. Cities like how people call the city. Like whenever I hear somebody go New Orleans, I'm like, all right, brother. Like,
All right.
what are you doing right now?
I mean, just because I love to pronunciate doesn't mean I'm.
You got it.
It's clearly
But
New Orleans.
nah. Honestly, if we think about it though, I mean, I wouldn't go get AD just because one is too much money and two he's injury prone. I'm not saying that he's not good when he's on the court, but I mean that the move just honestly doesn't make that much sense to me for the Bulls to do that, because I feel like getting either him or Russ or whatever you want to say, whoever, I feel like that's kind of taking a step back from what you've already built.
Yeah.
Because you want to continue to grow the talent. So I don't. As far as that, I really do not think that's the move for them to go out there and do that.
Now, here's the thing, right? We got to talk about how that's going to fit and how everything is going to go. And this is going to be an interesting offseason for the fact that so much is shaped around Zach LaVine making a decision, right? Like it's going to be a whole different thing depending on Zach LaVine staying or going. So that's going that in itself, right? Like if Zach does decide to go, how does that change the free agent market? How does that change what you're looking for?
I have to trust that. Well, for one, I would say that Zach chooses to go.
Yeah.
We appreciate his, what he's brought to Chicago.
Oh, I love it.
He
fought through
he's
the
done
craziest
his thing while he's
times
been
in
there.
this city, brother.
absolutely has gone through the ups and downs with Chicago. The Fred Hoiberg situation. I still watch that game every so often. I got 40 points. I still watch those clips, and I think about, I really wanted this to be his year. I really did. So if he chooses to move on, more power to him, man. I wish him the best, and I really hope that he gets what he's looking for as far as how his NBA career shapes up. But as AK said, there was a lot of players who wanted to come to Chicago, and so as an organization, I think we'd be in good shape.
Yeah.
I'm not wishing, in my mind, I can't even fathom him not being in a Bulls jersey right now. But I'm open to the idea simply because he's open to the idea, And so I don't want to speculate and say AD. I don't want to speculate and say, oh, let's go get Dame and things of that nature. I want to see Zach LaVine get a chance to run it back and win in the city that he's put so much into.
I mean, honestly though, like when you think about if he leaves, do you feel like this is a restart situation in that situation? Or is it, listen, we thought, I mean, AK clearly thinks that P. Will is going to be next man up, right? Like, so is it a restart situation, or does it just become we've got DeMar DeRozan, we've got Zach or Nikola Vucevic, we've got Lonzo Ball. We go all in on Patrick Williams at this point. We push that to that next level, right?
I don't think it's a restart situation at all because we still have DeMar on the contract. Vooch, despite what many have said, put up a great showing. I'm not going to sit there and say there's many guards out there that can do what LaVine does when he's healthy. But I don't think that it's a restart situation. It would be a retooling, if anything, but definitely not a restart.
Now, listen, we gotta bring in. I've been telling y'all about this guest all week. We're gonna switch gears a little bit. Not really. We going Bulls. Oh, maybe not. he was in here and he popped out. Give it a second. All right, we're gonna run that back.
What you drinking, man?
Hey, no, it's interesting. What I'm drinking? Water.
Kid.
Oh, Starbucks. You thought he was starting early in this month?
Not starting early. I just wanted to know what it was. No, dog, you starting this early. We gotta talk. Hey.
It's gonna be a interesting offseason, to say the least, with the Chicago Bulls. But like I said, I just want to see how this team continues to develop, how this team continues to move forward, how this team gets to the next step, right? Because I feel like the next step for them, and AK's continued to improve this team. AK's continued to build around his team in 2 years. You can't discredit anything he's done.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you get to that next point?
Mm-hmm.
If you re-sign Zach LaVine, if you get Zach LaVine back in the building with Jamar, with Vooch, how do you put those pieces around it, right? That's the hardest part for AK in this whole thing. How do you get him to a point where he is on that, or where this team is not just a first round team, where they're a second round team, where they're competing with the teams we're watching night in and night out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, go ahead.
No, I look at Zach.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like he's a couple of pieces away, and look, he already knows. Like, listen, AK already knows what he has to do. I mean, the team is good enough. I feel like they're even if they got Zach, I feel like they're a couple of pieces away. But I feel like AK has so much faith in P. Will that he's going to take that leap, because like we've seen it. We've seen it, right? I mean, if you look at the Minnesota game, like some of the games leading up to that, when he came back, like Kid was talking about his rebounding. He actually improved his rebounding. When he got into the playoffs, those same exact shots that we was killing him for taking, for the most part, he took them. And in that last game before they got knocked out, what did he have? 20 and 6. So I mean, they're not that far away, but I feel like it's more so of a chemistry thing, and I'm with AK when he says we're better off if he comes back, because I want to be competing with these teams that have been together 3 to 5 years. So if they come back and run it back another year, and P. Will takes that leap, I mean they're right in there with the best of them.
We have so much missing right now from our team. But go ahead. I know you got to bring in.
Definitely got to bring in our special guest, man, because listen, this is a honor for me to have this guest on the show. I've been hyping this guest up all week. Stop playing with what we're doing over here on the Breeze, dog. You got to talk about him. I mean, he's the king of the nickname, y'all. A 3-time NBA champion, the voice of the Chicago Bull, host of the Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast, and in my opinion, the greatest Chicago sports TV analyst in history. Stop playing with him. What's a Harry Carey, dog? What's a Harry Carey? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the chat, Mr. Stacey King. Stacey, what's good?
Hey, what's up, boys? How y'all doing?
What's good, Stacey? How you feel?
Oh, baby, I thought I was getting ready to come on Tonight Show or something. Baby, y'all gave me that big old introduction.
Hey, you deserve it, brother. You are the man. Listen, you're the voice of the Bulls for everybody. You see everybody in this chat right now? The voice of the entire chat right now. So it's an honor to have you on.
I appreciate the love, my man. I appreciate the love. I tell you what, man, it's an honor to come on your show. I watch you from afar on the YouTube. I wish I could say some of the things that you're able to say on the YouTube, because trust me, if they let me curse, boy, I'd take it to another level.
Well, listen, look, we gonna be live calling the NBA Finals if you want to get in here. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay,
we can get you for that if you want to come in and you get the Stacey King real.
I might have to do that. I might have to take you up on that.
Hey, it's gonna be a lot of fun. First things first, we know. Like Zach LaVine, unfortunately going through COVID this year, you went through it and you said it was tough on you. We watched you on IG first things first, how are you feeling, Stacey?
I'm great, man. I'm back to 100%. You know, it was tough, man. I mean, for all the people out there, I know everybody, you know, there's some people that don't believe in it. Some people who have experienced it know it's real. I'm not going to be up here, you know, telling everybody get a shot. You know, you got your own choices. You know, do what's best for you and your family.
Yeah.
But I would always tell people to make sure they do their homework. You know, do their own research for themselves. Not so much listening to other people. A lot of propaganda out there. Do your own research. Come to a decision that's best for you and your family, and not based on what other people are doing. Because, like I said, I had a brother that passed away from COVID, and I probably lost about 12 friends that I went to school with and grew up with that died of COVID. So I've been impacted in many, many ways. So I know it's real, and I had it, man. I was out from December to like almost March, you know, February, you know. So it knocked me on my butt, and I'm a pretty durable guy. I don't miss games. I don't get sick.
Yeah.
I take care of myself. You know. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. But, you know, I bounced through it, got back. And, you know, like I said, you know, take that stuff seriously.
Yeah. I think I had to think back. I think that's the first time I've really seen you miss time like that.
In 16 years, Pat, I've only missed like 5 games. So I've been very durable. And the games that I've missed, I can count them on one hand. I mean, my mom passed away, and I missed 3 days because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got sick on the road in New Jersey when Brooklyn was still in New Jersey. I got the flu, so I was out, you know, a game on that. So I don't miss games, man. I mean, I'm very durable, and you know, I was very durable as a player. I take my job seriously. I mean, when you grow up watching your mom and dad work their tails off, and my dad had 3 jobs to get to my brothers where we need to be. So you have a work ethic that you develop, you know, from how you grew up and what you saw as a kid. So I take it very seriously. I don't like to miss games, and if I miss a game, it's serious.
It's serious, 100%. Well, like you said, you haven't missed much, and there's been a lot to see over your time calling the Chicago Bulls. So I got to ask you, first question off rip, what would you say in the last 2 seasons with AK coming in, Mark Eversley, all of the DeMar, Lonzo, Booch, what would you say is the biggest improvement for the Chicago Bulls, area of improvement that you've seen in the last 2 years? Because like you, we were live calling these games. 22 wins is tough, Stace. I had to clap it up for you. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, I see quite a few of those. Don't sleep.
Hey, we called some games where it was like, should we keep calling this? I was like, Stacey's still calling it. We got to.
Yeah, man. You know, you got a job to do, man. The people want to hear it. And I think, you know, what makes it a good, you know, analyst or broadcaster is that you keep people engaged, you know, throughout the whole 4 quarters. No matter if they're down 20 or up 20, people still want to watch. And we've been very blessed, you know, with Neil Funk, myself, now with Adam. You know, we've been very blessed, and you're experiencing it too. I mean, there's been some games where the Bulls have been blown out. You know, people like to hear what you guys have to say. You guys keep it. You know, the one thing I always say about being an analyst or a broadcaster is you got to create your own lane. You know, you got to. I'm not like everybody else. I've created my own lane, and you know, it's really cool now because when I first started, people said I couldn't do that. You couldn't have a personality. You couldn't, you know, you got to be straight laced. And I was like, well, this job ain't going to be for me, because if you knew me as if you followed me, if you saw me as a player, you knew my personality. You know, I was always the guy, like, you know, keeping the team loose. You know, I mean, we played the dozens, you know, growing up. So I'm quick-witted. So, you know, that just kind of shows in the broadcast. And over the years, I think it's funny because, you know, it's like the dunk contest. You know, when you win a dunk contest, everybody expects you every year to bring something back different than you did the year before. After you win 2 or 3 dunk contests, you're like, man, I ain't got nothing else. This is all I can do. And, you know, people criticize you. Oh, you're getting old. He can't do this. He can't do that. And it's the same way in being a broadcaster. It's like, you know, you come up with these one-liners, you come up with these nicknames, you come up with all these things, these taglines that people love to hear and see. And every year they expect you to say something different every year, you know? And so over the years, if you notice, I've kind of gotten away from the nicknames per se. You know, I don't do nicknames as much. Well, one of you got to be winning to get a nickname. If you ain't winning, you can't get a nickname. Okay, all right. So let's just keep it 100. No cap, just keep it 100. If you ain't winning, you can't get a nickname. Okay. But if
I was wondering why you didn't have one for campaign when you was
here. hey, why you messing around? Campaign, I have a lot of nicknames right now. I'm feeling But you know, it's you know, people you don't want to be known just as that. Like I'll put my analyst game up against anybody. You know, I'll put my knowledge of the game, my basketball IQ. Forget all the nicknames and all the comedy and stuff. Yes. I'll put my basketball acumen against anybody that's in my position, and I'll go head to head with you. And I'm feeling very confident that I'm gonna come out on top.
100%, 100%. That's why we love having you here, man. That's why we really wanted to get your breakdown on it. Like I was saying though. Where do you think in 2 years? I mean, we've gone from Boylan, Hoiberg, all the way. Hey, Stace, be honest with me. Stace, be honest with me. Stace, be honest with me.
Honest, can you get with us on that one?
Honest, can you get with us on Jim? I don't want. Listen, Stace, I love you at your job. I don't want the Bulls to call you and be like, you shouldn't be talking about.
Let's just say this. Let's just. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100% honest because I keep it real. That's just who I am. Since AK came on board, the culture's changed. Mark Eversley, JJ Polk, the culture's changed. They showed you what they were going to do when they got here. They got here and, they gave, Jim Boylan an evaluation and they pulled the trigger. They're like, well, this is not, we want to go in a different direction. And they made that first move to get Billy Donovan. That was the key right there to get the coach, because the coach, everybody always says, who's the leader of the team? Is it Zach? Is it Damar? Is it, whoever? Everybody always thinks the player's the leader. It's the coach is the leader because he's the general. He's the one telling y'all where to go while y'all out in the front line. So that's your leader. People always mistaken the player as being the leader. The player is an extension of the coach. If your top player, and I can attest to this because I'm not a guy that I'm just sitting here talking basketball. I played at the highest level on every level. So when your best players are your leaders, they're an extension of the coach. They verify what the coach is saying. So if Phil Jackson, who's our leader, tells me I got to rebound better, if I cop an attitude and say I ain't doing that, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Then I got Michael Jordan, Bill Cartwright, Scottie Pippen on my butt telling me, boy, you got to rebound better. They're an extension of the coach. They just reinforce what the coach is saying, and the respect of your number 1, 2, 3, it just trickles down the line. And I think, and I'm gonna say this, people talk about, Gar and Pax, they link those two guys together. It's so unfair. You cannot link Pax with Gar. You just can't. I mean, I'm just sorry. And I love both of them. They're both friends. But, Pax is a GM. His record, go back and look at his draft. He did a lot
similar to what AK did.
Exactly. And people, because, Gar made some questionable decisions over the last few years, Pax kind of got, anchored to that, like the Titanic. One going down, or y'all go down. And it's unfair. And, I'm going to defend Pax. I'm going to ride or die because not only is my teammate, one of the best teammates I ever had, but people just lose sight of what he has done as a general manager. And AK is just an extension of that. Yeah. AK has come in and done the same thing Pax has done. You go back when Jay Williams had that motorcycle crash, lottery pick. That could have altered the Bulls franchise for the next 10 years. How often do you get a number 2 pick in the draft? It's supposed to be a generational talent, ends up almost killing himself.
Yeah.
The next year they go out and they get Kirk Heinrich. Then it was Ben Gordon. Then it was Luol Deng. Then it was Joakim Noah. Look at the pieces that these young pieces through the draft that he built up. You go get a Taj Gibson. You get a James Johnson. Everybody questioned about that James Johnson. But James Johnson's been a solid NBA player for 10, 12 years. Yeah. He may not be a superstar, but he's been a great rotational player wherever he's been. You go out and you get a Derrick Rose. I mean, a blind man would have drafted Derrick Rose. Let's just be real. But the Bulls got the number 1 pick. And you remember, people were saying to pick Michael Beasley because the Bulls at that time needed a bigger guy. They needed a small forward, power forward guy. And with Ben Gordon and Kirk Heinrich, you already were set at the guard spot. And so when he took a chance and drafted Derek, you go down and look at his draft record, man, it's been impeccable. And it's unfortunate that he gets a lot of, trash talking about him, but he got tough skin though. Pax got tough skin, and he's been he's been a consultant with AK. And the one thing I like about AK and Mark Eversley, they do their homework. They came in, they evaluated the team, they gave everybody a chance that first season after we came back from COVID, they evaluated everybody. And then they recognized, like, okay, we need to win now. We don't have time to develop. They've been developing for 5-6 years. We need to win now. So they go out and make some moves. Wendell Carter, you don't want to say, was 2020, but if they had to do it all over, maybe they change the way they make that move. Maybe they send Lowry to Orlando than Wendell Carter Jr. You know what I'm saying? Because Wendell Carter Jr. turns out now that's the guy that we needed.
Right. Yeah.
A guy that can play the 4 and the 5 position. And at that time, when Wendell was here, he wasn't developed like he was in Orlando. When he got to Orlando, they just turned him loose. They just let him play. And here he's playing for coaches that were more guard-oriented coaches, more three-point shooting guys. Fred Hoiberg was always stressing three-point shooting. Jim Boylan didn't really know, he wasn't a three-point shooter, but he was just kind of following suit what Fred was doing. Yeah. And so you're trying to make Wendell Carter Jr. a three-point shooter, but what he does best at that moment was playing in the post, back to the basket, defense, switching out on guards, which is a premium in the NBA right now. You got to have bigs that can, switch out, which I'm not a fan of. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I'm not a fan of that at all, but that's the way the NBA is right now. But Wendell Carter Jr., I think it's one of those ones they if they could have seen into the future, that they would have probably switched that trade around. But to get something, you got to give up something. And we got Vooch. Vooch was an all-star center at that time. That was a huge move. That was the first domino. And I think the year before this year, had Zach not got COVID at the end of the season, worst case scenario, the Bulls in the play-in game. And as you can see what New Orleans did, you don't know what was going to happen in the play-in game. They might get hot and end up getting into the playoffs and do the same thing that New Orleans did. And I think, when you look at that first move, bam. And then this summer, they didn't hesitate. They were trying to get Ball last year. They were trying to get him last year, and they couldn't swing that deal with Lowry. So they said, okay, we'll wait till the summertime. We'll pull that trigger in. They were able to get him. They were able to get, AC, which I think those two signings were huge for this team. Because people tend to forget how good this team was when those guys were healthy. They were a top 5 defensive team in efficiency, okay? Those two guys are like having 4 guys on the floor at the same time. Lonzo Ball at the point guard position he only played 35 games and still ended up being the second leading rebound on our team at the point guard spot. And people don't know that, and his defense, these guys you don't have to switch on, you don't have to double. Kind of like if you watch Drew Holiday in Milwaukee. When he switches on a big guy, how many times you see Milwaukee run down there and double? They like, no, he got him. He got him. The same, he got him. So and Lonzo's the same way. Lonzo's guarding Giannis by himself. Yeah. Giannis is a beast. But they never doubled when that switch was. Go back and look at the tapes. They never doubled when Lonzo was guarding Giannis because he's 6'6" and he's strong. Yeah. So that was the element the Bulls missed in the second half of the season. But all these moves they made, man, have been triples, home runs. Some people get up there and they'll say, well, this guy. You got to remember, Patrick Williams is their first draft pick. That was their first draft pick. Yeah. And Patrick Williams is going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. Okay. But my thing with Patrick, and I said this, he's like a Ferrari. He just don't know how to drive it. It's like your daddy giving you a Ferrari at 16 because they got the money. It's like, I'm going to give you a sweet 16. I'm going to give you a Ferrari. And Pat out there stripping gears. He running it into the curb. He don't know how to drive it. So Billy Donovan is going to have to teach him how to drive it. There's some guys, as you've been watching this game a long time. Yeah. You guys watch NBA games. There's some guys that come in this game that are like aggressive from the start. They just go out there and they just go get it. And there's other guys that come in the league, they're not as aggressive. You got to pull that out of them. You got to show them how to do that. We always liken it to dog. You got to have dog in you. Some people have dog in them, but they don't know how to pull it out. And that's the job of the coaching staff. That's what your developmental staff is doing, the developmental coaching, is you're teaching this kid how to be aggressive, how to come out every night and lay it on the line. You know, come out there, let your talent show, bro. Just go out there and have fun, hoop. And that's what he did in those last few games in Milwaukee.
How do you get him to a point, right? Because we've talked about it on here, because right now, when you hear the exit interviews, it sounds like everybody on the team agrees with your sentiment. Like, no, him developing is very, very important to us being a championship level team. How do you balance that I want to see them focus on winning right now along with his development? Can you do both at the same time?
Yeah, you can do both at the same time. I mean, you look at a guy like Scotty Barnes in Toronto. You know, I mean, Siakam goes out, they bring him out there. I mean, he developed all season long. By the end of the season, he was arguably their best player.
Yeah.
You know, had he not went out in that Philadelphia series and got hurt, who knows how that series would have ended up? You know, he missed a couple of games with a bad ankle. So, but here's my thing with Patrick. It's year 3 next year.
Mm-hmm.
It's year 3. You know, the first 2 years, you know, I mean, his first year he played really, really good, I thought. Showed you that he can defend, you know, the better players in this league. That's the one thing that he was NBA defensive ready. He reminded me of Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler came in, Taj Gibson. Those guys came in NBA ready defensively. Their offensive game had to catch up, okay? Patrick is NBA defensive ready as well as a 19-year-old. He was out. He had a man's body.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about a teenager with a man's body.
Yeah.
And he came out here guarding the toughest player his rookie year every single night, from LeBron to Giannis. It didn't matter who it was. He guarded them. So defensively, he is on par as a very good defensive player and the ability to be a great two-way player. His offensive game, he showed you flashes that if given confidence, given the ball, let him do something, he can do some things. And my thing with Billy, I thought after that Minnesota game, go back to that Minnesota game, last game of the year, where he had 35, I think, and like 14 boards or something. You know, he understood that it was his team. He understood, like, hey, this is my squad. I'm no one's out here. DeMar, Zach's not here. You know, Vooch is here, but it's my team. And he went out there and played, looked like an all-star caliber player. And that's the mentality. If you're your coaching staff, the other players on this team, that's the mentality. You constantly got to be feeding him. You got to feed that beast in him. You know, not just give him little bitty snacks. You be feeding him some steak and tell him, we need this. Next year, you should be the third option on this team with Zach and DeMar. You should be that third option, and nights you should be able to carry us.
Hey, Stacey, I wouldn't be PKing of this show if I didn't ask. And like, everyone's going to kill me if I don't because you're here. What is your opinion of Kobe White?
I think Kobe White, and I love Kobe. I think, you know, they drafted Kobe thinking he was going to be a point guard. I think Kobe White is a scoring guard. He's a 2 guard. He's 6'5". He's got good size. You know, can he be a point guard? It's going to take a lot of work. He's going to have to work on his handles. His handles, I feel, are really loose right now. I think 1 year of college, because he was in college in North Carolina and the way they played more of an up-tempo game where he was able to go 94 feet. Yeah. He really didn't have to learn how to come off pick and rolls. He didn't have to learn how to get his teammates involved in the half court on a regular basis. And I think that hurt him a little bit. I think it hurt his development a little bit. And then he had coaches here, you know, that really in the beginning, not Billy, but, you know, the other coaches that we had, like especially, you know, Boylan.
Go ahead.
You know, they had the kid, you know, they had the kid making him just shoot threes. It was either a layup or 3. Yeah. And, you know, I think DeMar has shown everybody in America that you don't need to be an efficient scorer. You can average 25 to 30 points a game, still doing it the old-fashioned way. High percentage shots, know where your spots on the floor. Kobe is a great mid-range shooter. Kobe is a very good 3-point shooter. I think in their offense, and I said this on the broadcast, there's too much standing around. There's certain guys who are standstill shooters that will knock down threes if you leave them open all day long, okay? But there's other guys who are great 3-point shooters when you get them on the move, when you come off a single, double, curl actions where they're coming into their shot. You know, I mean, you look at guys in the past that are like that. Ray Allen was a deadly, you know, catch and shoot guy. You know, Klay Thompson, guys who are playing now are guys that can come off, screens and be ready to shoot the basketball. And I think Kobe's that. Zach has proven to be that type of player. He's one of the best catch and shoot guys in the league. His percentages show that. And I think, the Bulls offense, and they're going to have to make some adjustments next year because, you don't have that standstill shooter. You don't have that guy that can just sit in the corner and that ball is swung to him. He gonna knock. If he take 10 shots from the 3-point line in the corner, he gonna knock down 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah,
we don't have that guy. We have a lot of guys that can get their own shot coming off screens, catch and shoot. I just like to see more of that on the offense because it's very predictable when you get to the playoffs. And we saw that against Milwaukee. The Bulls offense was very predictable.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you a question about Ayo Dosunmu because I feel like all three of us in this chat we basically said it all season, especially when the Bulls drafted him that he was a steal. Where he was at. How do you think a second year of development with Ayo, especially under Lonzo and AC, will help out this Bulls team, and where do you see him going eventually in the future?
I honestly think Ayo's going to be a star. I do. I think he has the work ethic. First of all, he's Chicago. The kids from Chicago are just built differently, man. I mean, they're just built differently, man. Their mentality, they're in your face. They don't back down. They work hard. It's just a Chicago thing. And you can see it in all the Chicago players that are in the NBA. They have that mentality. He's no different. This kid has been a winner his whole life. You don't win all these championships in high school and then go to college and you win it. And, the kid should have been a top 15 pick. Everybody knows that now. Yeah. But for whatever reason, you get all these dudes that sit in meetings who never shot a basketball before their life. They never played. The closest they ever played is NBA 2K. Okay. So they're making decisions based off of, this guy can't shoot. What position is he going to play? Yeah. Sometimes you got to do the eye test. Sometimes you got to see what he does in competition. He proved against the best competition in America that he was one of the elite guards in this league. His stats show it. His awards show it. The kid can play. And that's a kid that you have to find a position for him. If you don't think he's a point guard, you develop him.
Yeah.
Because one thing he can do, and he's another guy that came in NBA ready defensively. You could have carved out his niche on defense and then developed an offensive game because Ayo's going to work on his shots. He got better as the season went along. In the beginning, I wouldn't even take a three. He'd be wide open. He'd be like, "Oh, I ain't taking. I'm driving to the basket." But as the season went on, he started hitting that corner jumper. Then that corner jumper started falling. He started shooting from the top of the key. But you saw the confidence grow, and it also helped that he got minutes because in the beginning, he wasn't playing a lot during the preseason.
Yeah.
And we had, everybody was stacked. We had everybody healthy. So he wasn't getting a lot of playing time. And one thing I say about Ayo, because he comes from a good family and he's a good kid, he didn't let it deter him. He didn't start pouting on the sideline. He came in this league with a chip on his shoulder, number one, for being the number 38 pick or whatever it was he was.
Yeah.
And so when you have that big old chip and then you got that Chicago attitude too, that's a recipe for killing somebody. So his attitude was, I'm gonna murk everybody who's in front of me, who was drafted in front of me. If you go back and watch these games,
that's a fact.
Everybody who was drafted ahead of him, he was trying to kill him. Whether it was offensively or defensively, he was going. I mean, what he did to Cade Cunningham the first time they played, like he shut Cade Cunningham down. Matter of fact, I saw Cade walking by and say, "Hey, man, I got the keys to the handcuffs. You want to, go on to the shower?" Because I had his ass locked up. And I think the cool thing too is AK and those guys knew as they picked this kid, they knew what kind of talent he was, and for him to fall in their lap because the Bulls had no first round pick that last year. So for him to fall, a first round talent to fall into that spot, that was a gift to them because he basically was a first round pick that fell into the second round. And the Bulls, and I said this about this year's draft, I think the Bulls have 18 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we got 18.
Okay, so they didn't have a first round pick last year, and as the draft has shown over the years, there's some people are going to rise and some people are going to fall, and there's an opportunity because the Bulls do their homework, their scouts do their homework, that they could fall. Somebody could fall who's supposed to be a top 10 pick could fall to 18.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, you got a lottery talent at 18. So, Bulls got a lot of options. I mean, they can trade the pick. They can do a lot of different things. I trust AK and Mark. I got 100% confidence in those guys that they're going to do the right decision, what's going to be best for this team. Because I think that Milwaukee series showed you what you were lacking and showed you what we needed. And, as long as Giannis is in this league,
I wanted to ask
you might want to get a Giannis stopper.
Yeah.
You might want to get a Giannis stopper.
Is that like the Jordan stopper though? You know what I mean? Like how many Jordan stoppers were there?
I'm telling you guys, that dude, first of all, listen, I love Giannis because I saw him come in as a rookie and I saw he was just like a deer, like a little baby deer. He didn't know his skill level. He was just running around. He had a motor, but the one thing about this kid, man, he works hard on his game. That's why I don't want to hear nothing about Ben Simmons not being able to work on his game, because if guys like, Lonzo can work on his jump shot, a guy like Giannis can now be a serviceable three-point shooter. Why the hell can't Ben Simmons? Because Ben Simmons is too busy being Hollywood. He's too busy. Block. Exactly. Well, you know what? Listen, I'm never going to question anybody's, mental health, because that's just not, you don't know what a person is going through. But, I will say this. And I've heard this from a lot of people. He doesn't spend a lot of time working on his game. And so in the summertime, when he looks at it as being off season, it's really off season for him.
he break.
Yeah. When they say 1, 2, 3 Cancun, he take that seriously. He already got a ticket in a suitcase. He already gone.
Hey, in game three, like, y'all up 3-1. Where you going?
Ben, where you going? Ben, where you going with them sunglasses? I'll be
Stacey,
back next October.
Real quick. You mentioned us having a win now mentality. They want to win now, realistically. And with Giannis that you mentioned, the Nets and all those situations, just really how the league is kind of balanced out. What is our realistic window? And if you could speak to it, if you can, what is the piece that we're missing to really be true title contenders?
Well, I think, listen, there's levels to this. There's levels to this. I always tell Bulls fans this because, we got the best fans in the world. It was proven this year as far as attendance, 2 and away and home. Yeah. Number 1 team in attendance. We got the best fans in the world. And they know basketball. They're not, Chicago's a sports town. They know they sports here. And they're loyal. You know what I'm saying? In New York, they boo you if you're the first pick and they don't like you. Boo, Philadelphia, wow. They fans turn on you. Everybody, but our fans, our Chicago fans ride or die with us. They've been that way from the beginning since I was a player here, and you have to appreciate that. And I think the front office understands, what the fans want and what they deserve. And I think that's when they're looking at this situation. There's levels to this. We go from a team didn't make playoffs in 5-6 years to now we there. And and I think what happened is the way we started. We were number 1 probably 65% of the season. Number 1 and number 2 in the league, not just our conference, but in the league. And then COVID hit. I don't think COVID hit anybody's team more than it hurt our team. And I'm being honest. Like, I think everybody on our team, Zach had it twice. So, it ravaged us. There was a time, man, where we had so many players out. Me and Bill was thinking about coming in there and suiting up. I was good for about 6 fouls and the 3-point shooting. If you want, I'm just gonna shoot threes. I'm not gonna run back on defense. Don't even ask me. So I'm gonna stand in the corner and I'm just throw it to me. Okay, so I can yell Sriracha every time I shoot it. Sriracha! I'm gonna yell it every time. Even if I miss, I'm gonna yell Sriracha.
So you was Tristan.
Yeah, no. Hey.
Yeah, so I did have another question about the because we do give out nicknames on the show. I've given out a couple.
Ringo's our resident nickname giver. I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty good at it.
How do you go about giving the nickname to a player? Because my mindset has always been, if you're not hooping, I can't just, you can't just be out here giving a name. Like they was trying to gift Matt Thomas What did they try to say for Matt
Maddie
Thomas?
Legend or something like that? Maddie Legend? I don't
Dog,
know about that. I'll
he's
say
not
this,
on the
Stacey.
court. I
thought
can't
the
give you
ball
a
was
name
little.
if you ain't on the court. So it's just like, how do you go about giving
I
a
tell you what,
nickname?
and
How do you
I
go
remember
about giving a
Jimmy.
metaphor? I just wanted to talk to you about that.
Oh, did he freeze on us?
Oh no.
Oh no, did we lose Stace?
Here played 8 minutes a game.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. He walks up to me, he says to me, Stace. He's like, how are you gonna give me a nickname? And I said, well, Jimmy, be honest, you ain't 8 minutes a game. So he's like, well, can you please give me a nickname? So I said, all right, the next time you get in, I'll have a nickname for you. And that's the first time anybody ever asked me for a nickname. Like, he was the first guy. So he goes in the game, we're blowing somebody out. Jimmy gets in about maybe 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes of playing time, and he scores a couple of buckets. And then I called him, Jimmy G Buckets. The G stands for gets. And then he came back the next day. He's like, oh, man, that's the greatest nickname. All my friends heard it, da-da-da. So that's how Jimmy G Buckets was created. And this is when Jimmy was only playing 8 minutes a game his rookie year. And so it stuck. Jimmy got a endorsement deal with Nike now. You got a Jimmy G Buckets line and everything.
Yeah.
But he ain't seen his boy no gear. You know what I'm saying? I blow all these dudes up. The White Mamba with Seattle Breeny. I blow all these dudes up, man. And I'm glad for them, and I'm happy for them because it's really cool for them. But when they blow up, I'm always teasing like, yo, man, I can't get no t-shirt. I can't get no free gear. Dang.
Hey.
The Cookie Monster. Okay. It's another one. So I give, it's just when you play street ball. You play street ball, you talking trash, give me them cookies. Give me them cookies, So that's how most of my stuff comes off of how I was playing street ball. And just playing the dozens and just talking trash, trying to get people out of the game. So, I came up with the Cookie Monsters, when anybody steal a ball, I'm like, cookies, and so that took off. That took off this year. So, and what do I see? I see Caruso. He got a
the Cookie Monster shirt on.
Yeah. A cookie. I was like,
that's what's great. Up.
That's how they did you, Stace.
We're gonna make sure you get a shirt from us though.
For sure, yeah. We gotta get you some merch from us for sure, Stace. We gotta make some custom merch for you, Stace. You're a large fella. But I do want to. We know we want to be respectful of your time. Know you said 30 minutes. We appreciate you being so great.
Man, I'm having a blast on here, bro.
Hey man, I gotta ask you this because you talked about toughness, talked about having that dog in you, Stace.
Yep.
I can't let you get up off of here without asking you about how you showed that dog versus your Hall of Fame head coach the first time you met him.
Oh, hey!
I heard you tell this story once on the air, and I was like, "He's gonna tell this story."
That's a legendary situation. Not too many people knew about it until I brought it up one day. So I come here on my workout, my draft, and the Bulls had the 6th pick, and so when you come in here, when you're a lottery pick, you really don't work out. You just meet with the front office. They ask you questions, yada yada, and then you're on your way. So when I came here, Doug Collins was the coach. And so they had just won 50 games the year before and got beat, I think, by Detroit in the second round after they had beat Cleveland, upset Cleveland. So that was the start of the Bulls' basically dynasty run. And so when I came here, Johnny Bach, the late great Johnny Bach, the defensive king of the Bulls' great defense, wanted me to work out. They wanted to see my quickness. They wanted to see me run the floor. And so I was like, well, my agent, which was David Falk, which was Michael Jordan's agent at the time, he told me not to work out. So don't work out, don't do anything, because if you get hurt, it's not guaranteed, yada, yada. So I'm like, and I'm competitive. Like, I don't like, you come at me, I'm ready to go. That's just me. Even now, I mean, you say something to me, it might be go time if I don't like it, So he's like, we want you to work out, yada, yada. I'm like, nah. My agent said, no, what are you? And he called me the P word. And so he said, what are you, a P? And I'm like, ain't nothing but, ain't nothing in Oklahoma but, steers and whatever, in the office.
Oh, no. We're losing Stace.
man, that network connection ain't coming back, is it?
Oh no.
Oh, we lost
You know,
Stace.
Stace. Oh no. God, there you go.
It's story. Hopefully, we'll be able to get Stace back, man. That's one of my. Oh, there we go.
I'm back, baby.
He's back.
That was Phil Jackson. Phil
Hey,
Jackson he tried to cut me off. He don't want the story told. So anyway, we're doing these post moves. So Jerry Krause says we want to give you a little resistance, but it's not going to be physical. So all of a sudden, here comes this guy coming through the door. So I watched Bulls games because Harvey Grant was Horace's twin, and at Oklahoma we used to watch a lot of Bulls game on WGN. So I always had the insight of the Bulls practices and what goes on behind the scenes. So I thought this was Dave Corzine. And so Dave, he's coming in, bushy hair, gray, tall, about 6'10". So I'm thinking it's Dave Corzine. So I'm like, well, they ain't gonna put me up against Dave Corzine. And then Dave Corzine is like, fighting for another contract or something. He might try to take it out on me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I gotta get ready. So he's putting up some resistance. And they say, all right, we want you to crab dribble to the middle, spin baseline. So, all right, cool. So as I went to go do that move, it got a little aggressive. So Dave Corzine, who I thought was being a little too aggressive. So as I go to baseline, he fouls me hard. Literally fouled me hard. Like the foul was across the head, like you saw last night with Dylan Brooks. Yeah. Those were the 90s fouls right there.
That was regular.
That was just a regular foul.
Yeah.
So he knocks me to the ground, and then he said, I go, man, what did you? I get up and I start cursing at him. And then he told me, he said, just play. He used the P word on me. So I said, oh, okay. I said, okay, I'm going to have to, okay, you want to play like this? Oh, it's on. So next play, Doug and them saw what was happening. So they wanted to see how I respond. So they said, right, let's do that same move again. I said, cool, let's do it. So
Phil Jackson really don't want this story.
Phil Jackson is hating on Stace right now, bro.
Phil Jackson really don't want you to get this.
They not trying to let my mans be great, bro.
Phil is that why
you gotta let Hot Sauce finish this one.
I don't care how many times he got to come back. I want to hear this story.
Stacey, if you can hear us, we can't hear you.
Yeah. You froze on the screen for us right now, Stace. Unfortunately, man. Let's see if the internet come back. Let's see.
He gonna be back.
He gonna be back. This the thing, right?
Legendary moment, right?
Stacey make a lot of money, man. What's up with Comcast? What they doing to my boy out here, man? Stacey make a lot of money out here. What's going on with Comcast? Let's see. That's usually the signal that he back in here. I like how we all just pause. We really just waiting on.
You know the best thing about it though, just while we get him going, the fact that he mentioned that was a regular foul. Like they get called for flagrants on stuff that was super regular back in the 90s. Like
Phil don't want this story getting out this thing. Hold on. Is he freezing again or is it? Oh, Stace. What's going on?
It's all right.
Let's see if we can get him back in here, man. Dog, that's tough. Why they hating on my boy?
Bro, they not trying to let my mans be great.
Yo, what's happening?
Bro, I'm salty right now. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Bro.
I'm salty right now. I ain't gonna do Stace like that, man. He been froze. Y'all know they gonna meme him. Y'all know they gonna do everything to Stace. We ain't gonna do Stace like that. Hey, Stace, if you can hear us, man, and hop back in. Listen, we'll let you back in as many times as we got to. It's not it's nothing for us. Should I do the ad read now? I don't want to do the ad read. Let's see if they stop hating. Nah, I think his internet they hate me. I see you got there you go. There you go.
Can you see me?
I see you again, Stace.
Oh man, I'm telling you, man. I don't know. It might be some midget on the cable upstairs. I don't know who's doing it. I don't know who's doing it, man. They trying to stop the story. So real quick before they cut me out again, because I know they're somewhere around here. So he fouls me. I throw the ball at him when I dunk on him. He tried to come at me. I tried to come at. They had to separate us. So as I'm walking out, they break it up. So Jerry Krause tells me, he's like, hey, go shower, go cool off, whatever. So I'm starting to walk back to take a shower in the health club that we used to practice at. And our assistant strength coach was named Eric Helen. So he asked me, he said, man, boy, we like that, man. We need more players like you that, will, stand up.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, man, I don't play that, man. You hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. And so he was like, you know who you got into it, right? I said, yeah, Dave Corzine, old ass. So he was like, no, that wasn't Dave Corzine. I'm like, that wasn't Dave Corzine.
Dog.
Right at the punchline. Right at the punchline.
The internet hating on Stacey, man. I'm salty, brother. I'm not gonna lie. I'm mad salty right now. That was the internet telling him he couldn't come back.
Hey, that was him telling, hey, don't cuss out Phil Jackson.
Yeah, so
that wasn't Dave Corzine.
Yeah, so one day Corzine was Phil Jackson, and so when I found out that he was assistant coach, the life went out of me. Like it just drained out of me like those hourglasses, and I was like, man, they're not gonna draft me. I done messed up now, But I didn't think I was gonna slip to 6 anyway. And so when Doug drove me back to the airport, Doug was like, telling me, yeah, we need players like you. We got to battle the Pistons. And back then, that's what they were drafting people for. They weren't drafted to win a championship outright. They were drafting. The goal was to win a championship, but the goal was to get by the Pistons, because if we don't get by the Pistons, there's no championship.
Yeah.
So that's why they drafted guys. Myself, BJ. We had 3 first-rounders that year on a 50-win team. Our draft class was the reason why they had protection, because the Bulls had won 50 games. You got Michael Jordan, who's now ascending as the greatest player in the game, and you got Scottie Pippen, who's starting to turn the corner. So the Bulls, the rich got richer, and so that draft, you got three All-Americans, 2 All-Americans, first-team All-Americans coming in that draft to play roles, not to be starters, but to play a role.
Yeah.
I'm the number 1. I'm the top 3 scorer in the country coming out of Oklahoma. I went to a championship in Oklahoma. I'm a player of the year. Yeah. And I'm averaging almost 30 points a game. And now you're telling me I'm coming to a team now, I'm just a piece of a puzzle. Whereas I go to the Clippers, I go to a team that's losing, I'm playing right away. My career is totally different as a player if I go to a team that actually needed me, that was losing. When you go to a winning team that's won 50 games, you got the greatest player. I mean, I got 2 of the top 50 players, top 75 players of all time on that roster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're playing with Hall of Famers. We didn't know they were Hall of Famers at the time, but we knew that they could be Hall of Famers. But, you didn't know Michael was going to be the greatest player. He was still ascending. Yeah. But in that team, you think about it, 6 out of 8 championships. That's a dynasty. And the two that we didn't win, had Michael not went to go chase curveballs, we'd have won Houston's titles. And they keep saying, it's funny listening to Kenny Smith and these guys about, no, they wouldn't have beat us. They wouldn't have beat. Let me tell you something. MJ ain't losing in the finals. I don't care what nobody says. That dude's elevation of his game is totally different in the playoffs than what you see in the regular season. That's why I respect that dude, man. That dude, not only did he bring in 82 games, but once them playoffs kicked in, boy, them great players like Larry Bird, Magic, Michael, they went to another level, a level that you didn't think they could go to. They went there and they dragged you with them. So that's the elevation of a GOAT. Seriously. Yeah. When people talk about that, and I'm not discrediting, LeBron James, because we live in an era right now where, people see him more. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But people who, after seeing that Last Dance, this younger generation who just thought Michael was the guy who sold shoes, and they saw that Last Dance and they was like, whoa, this dude was for real.
Yeah.
My mom and dad told me about this dude. I'd never seen him until I saw this. And now there's a whole new generation of people that have the respect for Michael that he probably didn't have if that Last Dance didn't go out. Same thing with Scottie. Scottie, I know Scottie feels like he's been slighted. He doesn't feel like he gets the attention that he deserves. Scottie was a hell of a player. Mm-hmm. Scottie's a hell of a player. I'm going to tell you right now, ask any teammate that played with Scottie. We don't, Michael might not win 6 titles without Scottie. He might have won 1, but Scottie was that other. He was that other. As far as talent, like, you got the greatest player on one side, and you got the greatest small forward on the other side. that's just as equally as talented and equally can change the game in so many different ways. Scotty defensively, oh my God. I mean, the length and the way he could defend anybody on the floor 1 through 5, I think people don't give him the credit that he deserves. But I'm telling you right now, we don't win those titles without Scottie Pippen. And I tell you, every teammate you guys would talk to, they tell you the same thing. Scotty was the greatest teammate I ever played with. Because when MJ would get on you, because MJ would get on you, Scotty be the good cop to MJ's bad cop. You know, and but you have to be a strong personality, and those guys who played on those championship teams, all 6 of those championship teams were strong mentally. You know, not just physically, but strong mentally, because you gotta be mentally strong playing with Michael Jordan. Seriously, you got to. And to play with Phil Jackson, because Phil Jackson, you know, doesn't get the credit he deserves as a great coach, because it's like, oh, he just rolls the ball out there and everybody just plays. They just hoop. Now you got to have somebody managing egos. And when 100%. You're number one player, you know, and that's what I'll say about Jerry Krause. Jerry Krause don't get the credit he deserves of being a great general manager. If his name was Jerry West, he'd be the greatest general manager of all time. How do you win 6 titles on 2 different teams and don't get considered one of the greatest GMs of all time? Because of his beef with Michael Jordan, I think people, you know, have taken that into consideration, where you have to look at the body of work. This man took 2 different complete championship teams to a title, to three titles. Yeah. The only constant was Michael and Scotty off those teams. That's amazing.
That is crazy when you think about it too, because like, and just seeing what Scotty was able to do with those teams defensively as an anchor, and then seeing kind of like, how do you keep winning championships? A lot of people don't give credit to the fact that Scotty's back was messed up in that second three-peat. He was out there, but he was out there a lot of times like how Larry Bird was out there at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah. And, you know, Scotty gets a bad rap because of the migraine game. And, you know, because I will honestly tell you, you know, like in 89, 90, when the Pistons beat us and Scotty had the migraine game, okay, Game 7. We had to play Game 7 in Auburn Hills. We had crushed them in Chicago the game before. And people don't remember this because it's been so long ago, and then the team has won championships since. But in that series, John Paxson had a great game in Game 6, hurts his knee, can't play in Game 7. Scotty has a migraine headache. And I've never had a migraine headache, but I've seen the effects of it around people around me. It's no joke. Okay, it's no joke. And Scotty's head was so bad, like he cried. It was hurting him so bad he cried all the way, because the airplane flying on the plane even irritated even more. And he was in tears going into Detroit. Double vision, and he tried to go. And people gave him grief for that. Oh, he's soft, blah blah blah. Man, you never know what athletes are going through, man. It's easy to sit back and cast stones and go, oh, I would have done this. I would have. No, you wouldn't have. Just stop. I mean, again, if you play 2K, you could probably do it. You know, you got a migraine headache, you sitting in, just turn the lights off and go play. You know what I'm saying? But athletes go through so much. That's why I will never jump on as far as the Ben Simmons situation, because I don't know about his mental health. He may have mental health, but that doesn't change the fact that before all that, his game, he didn't work on his game. Yeah. Okay, so, you know, before all that, he still didn't have a jumper.
And from your era, who was the most underrated, if you don't mind me asking?
Who do I feel is the most underrated player? I'll tell you. I'll give you a name real quick. Mark Price. Mark Price from Cleveland. Mark Price was doing what Steph Curry's doing now. Think about that. Go back and check out Mark Price. Mark Price his handles were unbelievable for a guard. Listen, Cleveland had the bad luck of running against Black Jesus. Okay, let's just be honest. If MJ is not in that conference, Cleveland gets a title. They win 1 or 2 championships with that squad they had. Ron Harper, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, Hot Rod Williams, John Battle. They had a squad, bro. They had a squad. Yeah. Mike Sanders, Gerald Wilkins, Craig Elo. They were deep, but they had just like, listen, when MJ was in the league, nobody ate.
Craig Elo gets no respect.
No, nobody ate. There was no leftovers. There was no sharing of the food. New York didn't eat. Atlanta didn't eat. Cleveland didn't eat. Nobody ate. The Lakers didn't eat. Celtics didn't eat. Nobody ate as long as 23 was out there running around.
Yeah.
When he left to go chase curveballs, everybody was lining up like they was at Sizzler. Oh, we got a chance. Let's go. All you can eat. Yeah, okay. And Scotty almost a bad call from Hugh Hollins in New York. That might be Scotty might have taken that team to the finals.
That's a whole different dynamic that I think people don't give credit for.
No.
And I think I'd love to give you an opinion. And listen, Stacey, I hope we're not holding you from nothing.
No. I'm good. I'm good, man. I'm bad. I'm cutting out on you. I'm telling you, Phil Jackson's cutting my line.
No, you're good. Listen, we love having you here. This is the best show of the week. In your opinion, right? What changed how fans and more so organizations looked at teams, right? Because there was time in your era of basketball for development. There was time for, like, people always remember Jordan winning championships. They don't remember the stories about, oh, Jordan, a scorer can't win an NBA title. That's not how NBA championships are built. And then as it continues to go, you know what I'm saying? Like, you stuck with the guys that you picked. How did we get to the point where now, if you're not good within 2-3 years, you're out of here?
Well, because there's impatience. There's impatience. And plus, Pat, a lot of guys are coming in this league 18, 19 years old. When we were coming in 3-4 years out of college. We were 21, 22 years old. So the development for us is 1 or 2 years tops. Where you're bringing an 18-year-old in here, man, it could be 5 years before he really reaches where his potential should be. And a lot of teams get impatient. They got to win now because their fan base is hungry for winning. Their owner wants them to win now because there's so much money involved. So the pressure of winning is there. But it's been proven. You look at a team like I'll use Milwaukee as a case. In order to win a championship in this league, you got to keep your core pieces together. That's why AK and them are so hell-bent on keeping Zach and keeping the team that they got together, because they got some really good pieces, and you build around those pieces. What made our team so successful in the 90s was Jerry Krause drafted great. He already had a core nucleus. Our core nucleus was in their 20s. MJ wasn't even 30 yet. Yeah. So now you go get some veteran players. You go get a Cliff Levingston, sign him, specialty players, Bobby Hansen, Dennis Hobson, whatever you particularly need to help your team get to that next level, that's what you do. But your core group is your 7 or 8 guys that you know is your core group, and you bring in the pieces that you need. And I think that's what AK and Mark are doing, is they see their core group, and it's like, yeah, we know we got to sign Zach. Zach's going to get the max. They're not going to let Zach go. Because you know why? If you let Zach go, and let's say you don't want to pay him, who are you going to come in here? Who's going to come in here and take his place? When are you going to find the next Zach LaVine? Okay, because you got lucky with losing Jimmy Butler. Okay, because go back to that trade.
We can't build around a guy that shoots and plays defense.
Exactly, exactly. And the Bulls were vilified for that. Okay, and Jimmy is a two-way player. He was just ascending into all-star ability. But you've seen Jimmy since he's left. Jimmy's been a lot of different places and caused disruption. And I love JB. Yeah. I thought JB got a little of that Hollywood in him. And all young players do though. All young players do. When they get success and it comes quickly, they don't know how to handle it unless they got a good inner circle that can pop that head when it gets too big. Okay, but you look at Zach LaVine. We got Zach LaVine in the trade. He was coming off ACL surgery. He was the third option in Minnesota behind Cat and Wiggins. Okay. So then once we got him, we don't know what kind of player he is. We get Lowry Market in that trade. We get Chris Dunn in that trade. We got some valuable pieces, and none of those kids were all-stars. We were getting players to develop. And that's where Paxson and them really, you had to get what you could for JB. And they weren't being held hostage. Most teams was trying to trade him for a bag of Doritos. You get rid of all-star, you got to get some talent in return. You don't just want, we'll take 2 seconds and 1 first. No, man, you got to get some talent, because losing that kind of player depletes your roster. Yeah. Losing Jimmy Butler and not getting anything in return is like losing 2 or 3 players because of his impact on both ends. So they were able to get Zach off ACL. people are like, why didn't you get Wiggins? Why did you get Cat? Well, because they weren't going to trade those. So you had to get what you could. We'll take your 7th pick. We'll take Chris Dunn, who was a lottery pick the year before, and we'll take, Zach LaVine. So then I consider Zach LaVine a homegrown Bull talent because he developed here. He became an all-star here in Chicago. He wasn't an all-star in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So he developed here and became a 2-time all-star, an Olympian in Chicago, a homegrown Chicago player per se. Mm-hmm. Even though we didn't draft him, he became all these things that, I don't think Minnesota thought he could do, because if they did, they probably would have traded one of the other guys first.
Yeah.
So we got him, and you saw what he did. And I think, AK comes from that same mold. It's like, get your core group together, build around what do we need? What do we need to be able to get to that next level? Because this level, we can stand pat right now and still make the playoffs with the team we have next year. But how far realistically can we go with that same team? Okay. So you got to be real. So yeah, we're good enough to get to the playoffs. We're good enough to be anywhere from 6 to 8, to be in the playoffs. But if we're healthy, I think we're a top 3 team. But where can we get better? We need another shooter. We need a knockdown shooter. And those guys are hard to find, man. You're not gonna walk around and find Kyle Korvers walking around, JJ Reddick. Them dudes, they're not around. If they are on somebody's team, they're already locked in.
Yeah.
So you gotta find somebody on somebody's bench, and that's what I would be doing if I was like, and I'm sure the Bulls do this, but if I was ever coaching, if I was ever a general manager of a team, I would have my scouts watching the role players on other people's teams. You know what I'm saying? Like I used to tell Paxton them all the time about the kid Jackson Hayes for New Orleans.
Yeah.
Stan Van Gundy wasn't playing him at all. Wasn't getting no run. And I told Paxton, I said, man, you probably get that kid for a hot dog and some fries and Portillo's. So make that trade. Make that trade. And then right when I said that, probably about a month earlier, I had said that. A lot of their guys got hurt, and he played against us. We were in New Orleans, and he got in the lineup against us and had a huge game, like a double blocking shots, and that was the end of that dream, But there are certain guys out there. There are certain guys on people's benches that can help you, that can come in and give you, and you can get them on the cheap, because you remember you got, there's a salary cap. On 2K, we can do whatever we want to on 2K. We can trade whoever we want.
Force trade.
Right. But in real life, it don't work that way. You got to have a salary cap. You got guys to pay. Think about this. You've got, you got to pay Zach. You got Vooch is up after next season. You don't know what that situation is going to be, because he's playing next year for a new contract. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to get a motivated Vooch. I think you're going to get a Vooch. I think you'll get a Vooch that you saw in Orlando. I think he'll come in and play. But you got Kobe White. You got Kobe White's rookie deal. I think they could negotiate this summer with him. Yeah. They've got a lot of things they got to do to take care of their regular guys. And then you got to ask yourself, how many of these guys who do we look at as foundational players? Like, who are who's on our roster right now that we say these guys are it for the next 2 or 3 years? Because you got DeMar, I think, for another 2 or 3. Yeah. And if you sign Zach, you'll have him for 4, maybe 5. So in that time frame, you got Patrick Williams, who's still on his rookie deal. So you're pretty set with your young players. And Io, it's just now you just got to go out there and find the complementary pieces that can take you to the next level. I'd like to see him get another big. Somebody can rim protect and block some shots, but also score in the back to the basket, because that's still a lost art. I don't care what anybody says. And you look at the playoffs, if you're not making shots like Milwaukee last night, Milwaukee, they get away with playing defense the way they do by giving up the 3. Well, it bit them in the butt last night because Boston hit everything they threw up. And that's a gambling defense. And they were able to get away with it from the Bulls because the Bulls couldn't make any threes. Yeah. Bulls shot 50-some threes in the last game. I think they made 14. They were like 14 to 52. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to beat teams like that. If they hit 3 more threes, it might be a different game. But 52 threes, only knocking down 14. You got to get a shooter. You got to get somebody that can make shots. And I think everybody on your roster, guys, should be able to play. I really do. I think, when guys go out, you can plug people, the 12th man in, and he can go out there and do work for you. That's you look at all the teams that are like going to go deep in the playoffs, everyone on their roster can play. Look at Phoenix's roster. Phoenix, when they go to the bench, you got everybody laughing at Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne's like one of the best backups in the league right now, coming behind Chris Paul. You know, you got all these guys, these teams that have great role players that can come in and play bigger roles if needed. And I think that's where the Bulls need to strengthen too, is that they have to have a deep team that every one of those guys can play. If we run into a COVID situation or we run into a game where, like, let's say, you know, like we just saw Lonzo Ball miss the second half of the season, you know, we brought, you know, you got Ayo in there and you got Caruso, who was also out. Who's going to come in? Matt Thomas. You know, you got to have guys that can come in there that can actually hold down the fort till you get everybody back.
Do we have that and it was an injury situation, or right? Because like we after we do the post game show for all the games, everybody's in there. You only got 5 points off your bench. It's like, yeah, that's because our bench is in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Like, do we have that currently on this team and we were just overly injured, dealing with a ton of injury? Or is it something that, like you said, you have to go out and get?
Well, I mean, we had it. I mean, injuries happen to everybody. It's part of the game.
Yeah.
We all know that it was a different team limping into the last month of the season. It was a totally different team. Okay. Yeah. Having Lonzo out, having Caruso out, I mean, that just alters the way you play. And we became, you know, we go from a top 5 defensive team to, you know, a bottom 5 defensive team. That's a huge drop. You're not talking just dropping 5 spots, going from number 5 to 10. Yeah. You're talking about number 5 to like 30. Like, that's a huge drop. And when you can't stop people on defense, if you're not making shots and you can't stop them, it's a recipe for disaster. So, to your point, yeah, I mean, could we go back with everybody we had last year? Yeah, we could. Okay. But I think you know, if our guards are healthy, you only need 4 guards, in my opinion. You only need 4 guards. You need 2 starters and then 2 guys who can come off the bench that can play multiple positions.
We had about 7.
Huh?
I said we had about 7, 8.
We had more line. We had more guards. We had more guards than, you know, the bigger players. And I think you get 4 guards, you know, two of the guards coming off the bench. Let's just say, you know, next year you start Lonzo, you start Zach, you start, you know, DeMar, you start Patrick Williams, and you start Vooch. That's your 5 starters right there. You're coming off the bench with Ayo and Caruso as your guards in that spot. Okay, so you lock there, you know, in the guard spot. Now where you got to say is, okay, who's my small forward in that group, in the second group? Who's that power forward? Who's going to come in and be able to play the 4 and the 5 for me in that group? Because right now, that's where to me, that was our Achilles heel, because you're playing Javonte Green at the power forward position. Yeah, he's not a power forward. He's really a guard. He's 6'3". Yeah, but he's tough, and I love that kid. He's a kid that you want on your roster, and that on that roster, somewhere on that roster, because of his versatility. But, you know, Derrick Jones, I love Derrick Jones. You know, but Derrick Jones doesn't have the physical strength to play that 4 and 5 position in a small ball 5 lineup. He's great at that. But how often are you playing a small ball 5?
Yeah, that's.
So I had a kind of a 2-part question for you. So what is the one player from today's game that, if you could, you would say that he could play in you guys' era? And then the other question I have for you is, because, you know, Muggs make comparisons all the time, man. I really just wanted to know that I've been dying to ask this question.
Dramatic.
All-time Bulls versus all-time Lakers, 7 games. What's happening?
Woo! That's a tough one, because see where the equalizer is in that game. You going with Kareem, or you going with Wilt Chamberlain, or you going with Shaq? See, I like our chances going against Shaq, but you throwing out Wilt Chamberlain in that, you put him on that all-time great with Kobe and Magic and Worthy. I mean, because honestly. Listen,
Brian now too.
Yeah, he's a transplant. I don't care now. You
can't get on there, Brian.
No, he can't get on there, man. He not.
Hey, yo, Brian not on the roster.
No, he's not a true Laker, man. He's not a true Laker. He only been there 2 years, man. I'm talking about guys who got years in there.
Yeah.
Okay. And we couldn't even put Dennis Rodman on the Bulls if you really wanted to. But we could if we wanted to put both those guys on there. I mean, but me, a traditionalist, if you're saying let's get the guys who've been in the franchise, okay, they got way more players than the Bulls do as far as great players are concerned. I mean, you go down and look at their roster, you know, Magic, you know, you got Worthy, you know, Cooper, I mean, you know, Gail Goodrich, Jerry West. I mean, they go deep. Now, I mean, you know, our bench, we could have had Bob Love on that. You know, Bob Butterbean can score.
Is A-Train your starter? A-Train your starter at center?
Artis Gilmore, Chet the Jet to be out there too, coming off the bench. But it'd be a good game, man. But I think the equalizer would be at the center spot because I think the Bulls would win matchups pretty much everywhere else. But that would be tough if you had to guard Kareem in the prime with that skyhook because nobody can stop that.
Yeah.
And then Wilt Chamberlain with his pure dominance. You know, when you talk about changing the game, you know, they changed the game because of him. So you put him out there. And as much as I'm a ride or die with my Bulls, I'm gonna keep it real. It'd be tough, but as long as I got Black Jesus, baby, we got a shot.
We got a shot. You know what I'm saying? That's what it comes down to. I'll ask you this, right? Because you played big man, you played against Shaq, you played against those guys, right? Shaq and T-Mac on Shaq's podcast. We got to get into your podcast as well. Give me the Hot Sauce Podcast. Fire content coming out every week. Love Stacey on that, man. Shaq and T-Mac said that Giannis would not be the player that he was in your era of basketball because the jump shot isn't developed enough and he wouldn't have just been able to operate in the paint the way he is today. What are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with it somewhat. I think where he would be able to compete at because of his ability to run the floor and to be able to get up and down and I mean, the guy.
I think you muted, Stacey. Let's see. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yep.
Hello? Can you hear me?
We got you. We got you.
So yeah, you would have a hard time. Shaq would have a hard time in isolation with Giannis out on the wing. Giannis would blow right by him, finish at the rim. As far as the physicality is concerned, I think he would adjust. You know, I think his body and with the way he operates around the rim, and he's so freaking long. Yeah. I don't see him having a problem. I see some people having a problem. You know, as great a shooter as Steph Curry is, I think the physicality of the game and the size of the guards he'd have a hard time. I'm not saying he wouldn't be able to produce, because you know if he got it with the right coach that set him up to, you know, like a Reggie Miller coming off single double screens, I think he could be a killer. But as far as like, you know, when they try to compare the Bulls 72 win team versus the Golden State 72 win team, and everybody thinks Golden State would win, you crazy. And no.
If those are his last words, that says it all right there.
I hope he come back because you know I'm gonna clip it on that part, right? It's just, you crazy. Oh, that might be the final kibosh on Stacey. Oh, he's back. Stacey ain't gonna let it die. I love it.
He said, I've been waiting to talk about this for a minute.
Bro, Stacey ain't gonna let it die. I love it. Oh, the connection. Why is the connection?
I definitely want to ask him what's next, man. Stacey's won on every level. What's next one?
Stacey has won on every level. You got to give him credit for that, though. I mean, he's like he said, like Muggs forget, like he was a dominant player in college. Stacey King was by no means like you might like people look at what people did in the situations in the 90s, and it really just changed. Like he was a dominant player, like a 30+ point player per game in college. Let's see. Let him in. See if it let him in. Stacey, man, you got to get rid of whatever the service is, brother.
Hey, listen, I'm living it. I got my house that I'm living in. I just moved to the city in October, and so I'm living in this older house. It's got like thick walls, man. It's like a prison.
And that's where it stopped.
I got high speed internet, man, but the wall is so thick, boy. It's like, I'm telling you, it's like Alcatraz up in here.
Before we lose you again, I really want to know, because you won on every level and we just mentioned it. What's next? I mean, you're going into podcasting. You are the voice of Chicago when it comes to sports. What's the next level for you?
I'll take your spot whenever you get out the way.
Well, I'm gonna keep doing this as long as the Bulls want me and as long as it's fun. I'm enjoying myself. I've been reinvigorated. There was a time when Neil decided to retire, I almost jumped on that bandwagon and went with him. You know, I almost was like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna go out with my boy, and then some of my friends talked me out of it. Like, no, man, you still got a lot of energy. Boom, boom, boom. You know, just do it a couple more years, and then, you know, you can make a decision. So then Adam came along, and Adam has kind of reinvigorated me. You know, and plus, it's, as you guys know, it's fun calling the games when you're winning.
Yeah.
When you winning, the season goes by super fast. You got to have an energy every night. You know, you gotta bring it every night. I gotta bring it every night, no matter if the team is winning or if they're losing. I gotta have the same energy level, because fans pick up on that. They pick up on when you ain't in the mood. Oh, Stacey down tonight. He's upset. Like, you know, in the playoffs, I was upset about we kept doubling Giannis, and I said, man, stop doubling Giannis. And then I'm watching the Boston series yesterday. Boston stopped doubling Giannis, and they won the game. They stayed on their shooters, and that was the difference in the game. And then they also hit threes. But that was one of the things I said that we should have done, is not double Giannis, because every time you double Giannis, he knows how to find the open guy, okay? But where Milwaukee kills you, they don't kill you on the initial pass from Giannis out. They kill you on the second and third pass. So when you rotate out to that first pass, you're selling out on that. And so you got one or two guys running from a shooter in the corner. They swing the ball once, swing the ball twice. They get an even wide open jumper, and they're knocking them down. And so yesterday I heard even Stan Van Gundy say it. You know, they're not doubling Giannis, which is causing Milwaukee's problems. And now their shooters are not getting wide open looks as they did in our series. So, but, you know, I love this. I love this organization. I've been in this organization over 30 years, you know. Hey, calm down, killer dogs. Calm down. That's my secret service right there. They on point right now. My little bullies. They on point.
They letting you know now. Somebody messing with the internet. Hey, that's what it is.
They said, I think they saw Phil Jackson out there climbing on my wall out there. Calm down, boy. Calm down. So you know, as long as I'm having fun, guys, and as you know, I mean, I'm having fun doing a podcast. I know you guys are having fun doing yours, and because you get to talk hoops, you get to be crazy, uncensored. Nobody can tell you what you can and cannot say. You know, you have opinions that matter. You got a fan base that loves listening to you guys, and that's what I'm doing with my podcast. I mean, we've grown. Oh my God! I mean, we've only been on there a year. And like, we're one of the top podcasts in the country, and we like, I feel like I'm Nipsey Hussle selling mixtapes out of a truck. You know, we don't got no big sponsors. We ain't out there, you know, because that's not what I want to do right now.
Yeah. So
we're doing everything on our own, you know. So and nobody can tell us what to do, what to say, and you know, we do what we want. And my podcast is a little different, because we don't just talk hoops. You know, we talk everything. Like tomorrow's podcast, I got Mr. Olympia, Dexter the Blade Jackson coming on. Okay. You know, I got UFC fighters coming on. I got, you know, women's athletes. I got mental health people coming on. There's a lot of different things that I do on mine that I just don't want to be just like everybody else's podcast. We just talking Bulls hoops all the time. You know what I'm saying? You just got to be different. You got to create your own lane, and hopefully, you know, I'm doing my hot sauce stuff now, which was taken off as well. You know, we just got invited to this hot sauce expo in the summer, which I'm really looking forward to that. And we get to put our hot sauce up against everybody else's hot sauce. So I'm looking forward to that. And, you know, just growing, man, just, you know, never being satisfied, you know, always trying to push the envelope to do different things, you know, try to make yourself as versatile as possible. Like, I'm a life coach. I'm studying to be a life coach. I want to work with kids. I want to work with people who are, struggling with everyday life. Because if you ever follow me, I'm sure you guys follow me on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
I have an Attack Today post that I always do motivational that I always send out to people every day. And I didn't know how big that was until I stopped doing it for a couple of days, because every day I do it. I put out an Attack Today quote, and so when I don't do it, I get all these DMs. Man, where's that? I need to get through my day with that, man. I'm like, damn. Damn. I didn't know. I mean, I just do it just to be doing it. And I've been doing it probably for about 10 years. And so that's something that I like doing. I'm going to get into motivational speaking. That's the end game for me. Once I get done with this, I don't know how many years left I have on this. As long as, like I said, as long as it's fun, as long as the Bulls love me and they treat me good, I'm here. I've turned down doing TNT. I've turned down doing ESPN because I love Chicago. It's a big city. I'm on a national market. You can't listen, I've been very blessed, and I don't take the blessings for granted. I didn't have to start in a small market and work my way up, spend 10, 12 years working my way up. I go from playing on one of the greatest teams ever to I end up coaching for 3 or 4 years in the CBA. And then being able to come back here and, Steve Shanwald, Jerry Krause brought me in to do broadcasting, doing analyst work. And, I got my start with Sports Channel, which turned out to be Comcast.
Yeah.
And I was doing the pre and post game. And so that's how I got my start. And, I parlayed that into an ESPN gig doing, Big 12 games. I tell young broadcasters all the time when they say, hey, I want to do what you're doing. And my advice to them is to, first of all, don't turn anything down. Don't think you're too big to do anything. You know what I'm saying? If you're in college and you're going to broadcasting and journalism school, if you got to call a girls' high school basketball game, do it. If you got to call a women's soccer game, do it. Do as much work behind the mic as possible to get that experience and be able to use that as a resume to parlay that into something else. Because a lot of times, everybody want to hit a home run. But in baseball, ain't nothing wrong getting on base. The whole objection is to get on base. Whether you get walked, whether you get hit by a pitch, or whether you hit the ball. The objection is to get on base. Yeah. And so in this field, as you know, it's hard as hell to get in these roles. Because if you, like, say, a play-by-play guy, them dudes normally 40 years.
Yeah.
They stay on that mic for 40 years.
Yeah.
And guys in my role stay on just as long. So there's not a lot of opportunity. So whenever you get an opportunity, you got to make it to the point where they feel like we don't ever want this guy to leave. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that get, they come and go, But if you're good at what you do and you have a fan base like I do, because without my fan base, without the Bulls Nation, baby, they could be all 16 sucks, that kind of thing. But they don't. Just like people tune in your show. Obviously, you guys are good at what you do. That's why people tune in. That's like, I follow you. I know all about your show on YouTube. So when you called me to come on, I'm like, yeah, cool, no problem. Because my philosophy is to pay it back, pay it forward. So I see you guys doing what you're doing. And if I can help you in any way by coming on your show, then boom, I'm there to help y'all. And same thing with anybody else that I did a high school kids podcast the other day. He was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got you on. I can't believe you answered me. I'm like, bro, man, I read all texts. I read all tweets. I read all DMs. Okay. And like I said, if I can help someone and pay it forward, because, it's tough. It's tough to get people to come on your podcast. It's tough to get people to commit because everybody's so busy. Or then some people like, what is it in for them? What do I get out of it? It's like, it's not what you get out of it. It's you're helping someone else. That's what you're getting out of it. I'm helping someone else, broaden their horizon and be able to branch out even further. Yeah. Because somebody had to help me. So people had to help me. So when I call guests, every guest I bring on helps me.
Yeah,
I had a porn star on my podcast, but I'm gonna tell you, she had. Hey, y'all laughing? Y'all laughing?
I'm getting comfortable now. Hey, I thought we was closing the show. We're just opening up now.
Let me tell you something. She had like 12 million followers.
Hey,
And you know, in this game, it's about followers.
yeah.
And you know 90% of them is dudes that watch sports.
Exactly. You know, the guys that be sweating and hands all moist. Yeah. But you know, they followed her. They followed her to my podcast. They're like, "Oh, Stacey King, give me the hot sauce." You know, he see, "Give me the hot sauce." Is that a porn? Let me check that out. And then they get on there. I done lured them in, Pat. I done lured them in. They thought it was a porn show. They give me the hot sauce. They thought it was some pornographic stuff. And then when I had the young lady on, and we listen, and be honest with you, she talks MMA. She has an MMA podcast where she talks, and I'm a big MMA fan. If you ever notice any of my tweets, I know all the UFC. I'm a big UFC fan, big boxing fan. So I'm into that kind of stuff, combat sports. So we brought her on with all her followers to talk sports because she knows sports. She's from Detroit. Boom, boom, boom. She knew about the Bulls Detroit rivalries. We talked about that. And I was going to move away from even talking about anything about the adult film. My boy Mark Shanowski decided, before we get ready to let her go, Mark it would be bad for me if I didn't ask you. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh man, we're going down. We're going down. You're going to ask. And he started asking her about, her, and we kept it respectable. It wasn't like, it wasn't anything bad. We kept it respectable. Yeah. And she appreciated that. We didn't act like some horny dudes or anything. We just, it was very respectful because you have to respect your guests when they come on, whether you agree with what they say. Like we had Nick Friedel on. Nick is my dude, but he's a bull
Chicago
hater.
villain right now.
He's a bull hater. So every time we have him on the show, we have these spirited conversations. We go at it. So, but that don't mean, whether you agree with it or not. You can say something. I'm not gonna get mad. We just gonna agree to disagree.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's good for your podcast to have.
They called us.
Come on, Stacey, fight through it.
Fight back, fight back. Ah, man.
Let's see.
They called you Stacey.
Bill Jackson, leave my internet alone, bro. Bill Jackson.
They called you Stacey.
Hey, Stace, first things first, we appreciate you so much for paying it forward and showing us love.
I had a blast, man. I had a blast.
Really do. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't know the background. Stacey said, I got 25, 30 minutes. I was fully ready to get Stacey out of here in 25, 30 minutes. He 110% was just like, nah, I'm here. We kicking it. I see.
Yeah. I'm good, man. I'm good. You know what? When I'm having fun and I'm enjoying the conversation, like, I feel like I'm in a bar right now with friends. Like we just tripping and talking about basketball. We talking about stuff that's going on in the NBA. And I mean, there's been times after a game I'll be talking to the security guard. He'll roll up on me, and it really should be like a 5-minute conversation. I end up almost spending the night in the UC. my girl be calling me, "Are you coming home?" I'm like, "Man, what time is it?" "Oh shit, it's like an hour and a half." I said, "Man, I gotta go, bro. I'm trying to keep a happy home. You getting ready to get me thrown out at the crib."
Hey, man. Hey, definitely don't do that, Stace. But if you need a spot to stay, the couch does pull out, brother. Don't worry about it. We got I'm a friend of the program, man. So I'll definitely pop back on. I appreciate it. Hey, I hope we can get you on. Like I said, we're gonna be calling the finals. Maybe we can get you in here for that. We do got to shout out Stace with the hot sauce game.
Oh yeah,
he's killing the game out here. He is killing the game out here.
We definitely gotta cut that.
On some of Stacey's hot sauce.
Hey, we gotta drop.
Hold up. We gonna put a full screen right there. Go ahead, Stace. Show the hot sauce for the people, man.
Where's my camera? There we go.
There you go. Y'all get in tune on that, man. Make sure y'all check out.
I'm gonna tell you right now. We just came out with a new flavor because we listened to the fans. I'm a man of the people. So the fans said we want a little bit hotter one, Stacey. So I came out with a new one. It's called Chicago Fire 1871. Okay. Back for all the history buffs. All the history buffs.
That's a tough name, dog. Okay,
hey, all the history buffs. You know your history about that Chicago Fire.
I got you.
That's where we got the idea. It's hot as hell. It'll have you dial 911.
We gotta drop the link, man. We gotta buy some.
Oh man.
Oh,
let me
baby, hey, get 21% off, baby. Get 21% off.
21% off. Make sure y'all are checking out Stacey's hot sauce over at givemethehot.com.
Hey,
Also,
Pat, send me your address, man, and I'll send you some. Y'all don't gotta buy it. I'll send you some.
You are
Y'all give me some love on the show when y'all get it.
You know we're gonna try it on the show.
Make sure you try it on the show. I want people to know it tastes. Yeah, I want people to know how good it tastes.
Here's gonna be the tough part, right? I still got to call the game. So are you ready to jump in on play-by-play if I start dying from Chicago Fire 1871?
Yes. Yeah. You know what? But you know what? You got your own hot sauce now, so you ain't got to. I don't even got to say it. You be like, you can tell your girl in the kitchen, baby, give me the hot sauce. She come in with hot sauce. You good?
Hey, long as she know what it means. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man. She'll like it too.
Hey, man. You just reminded me of that. We got to get paid for this episode. Hey, fellas, it's time to dig yourself out of that winter hibernation. Spring is here. It's time to get sprung with Blue Chew. That's right. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Guys, confidence can take you far in life, and it can help you in the bedroom, especially when it comes time to what you say, Stacey? Step up to the
she'll like it too.
That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. Here's the thing, Stacey, you ever had that? You ever know that awkward guy? He don't want to go to the doctor because he don't want to talk to the doc about an issue he got? Listen. I told my boy, sign up at Blue Chew. It's simple. Consult with their licensed medical providers. Once the process is approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Best part, done online. No awkward doctor's visits, no awkward conversation, no line at the pharmacy where you got to look over your shoulder, see if somebody's watching what you getting. Blue Chew tablets are made right here in the U.S. of A. Prepared to ship direct to your door in a discreet package so the neighbors don't know what's going on. You
exactly. You over at Walgreens, somebody said, "Oh, you getting that Bluetooth right now?" Yeah, okay. It worked. Yeah, that Bluetooth worked, boy. I got some last night.
So if you can benefit from a little bit of extra confidence when it's time to perform, Blue Chew can help be just like Stacey King. Stacey, I got a deal for you right here. Try Blue Chew free. We use our promo code Windy City at checkout, and you pay just $5 in shipping. That is bluechew.com, promo code Windy City, and you're paying just $5 in shipping. Your first month is free when you visit bluechew.com. Make sure you visit there and check out important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the show. And we also thank Stacey King for tuning into the show, man. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Stace, we hope to have you on soon, man. Let everybody know your socials if they don't know already. First off, you under a rock, and let everybody know out next.
Yeah, you can check me out on Instagram, Twitter. I mean, everybody pretty much knows my handles out there. It's all the same. And then if you want a bottle of hot sauce, Bulls Nation, go to givmethehotsauce.com and get your bottle today. 4 flavors. We got the St. Pat's Verde Green, which is my favorite on Mexican food. Awesome. And then we got the barbecue sauce. So you're gonna be barbecuing this summer. You gotta make sure you get King's Q because that's also nice. And then like I said, it's 21% off if you sign up and go get it today.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you, Stacey. Somebody gave you a nickname out here. Shout out Chicago Rilla, Saucy King out here. Don't play with it. You gotta keep it. You gotta hold on to that one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bulls Nation. No, I got nothing but love for Bulls Nation, man. And you guys keep doing what you're doing, man. You got a great fan base that really appreciates what you do, and keep growing your channel. Keep doing what you're doing on YouTube, man. It's gonna catch fire, and trust me. That I watch how y'all do that. I'm like, man, that'd be pretty nice if we doing that. Like, if we when we couldn't call the playoffs in the second round, that'd be something that I would want to do. Call a game that way on YouTube like you guys do. That's pretty cool.
Hey, we would love to have you on, get you a test run in the final stage. Hey, Chicago, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We appreciate Stace for tuning in. For your boy, Pat the Designer, we got the pettiest man in the building, Mr. P Kid. And, of course, the man formerly known as Ringo J. Stefan Nadine in the chat. Hey, yo, Chicago, we just gave y'all an hour and a half of fire right there. That's safe out there, man. Peace.